Hello and welcome to this presentation on engaging the plant floor. My name is Jason Tranter, the founder and managing director of Mobius Institute. This presentation is very important. If you are seeking to improve reliability in your plant, this is one of the key elements to success. Getting the reliability culture in place, getting the plant floor folk, the maintenance people and operations people on board so that they are not just willing participants, they're actually enthusiastic about the reliability improvement initiative and will actually help drive the process. So let's get right into it. And in fact, I'm going to start this presentation with what I consider the answer is, what the solution is, and then I will describe a little bit more about why it's so important that you do get the plant floor people involved, and some of the issues with why it can be a struggle to get people involved and some techniques to get them involved. So let's start with the answer, and that is to educate them, involve them, trust them, and encourage them. So let's take a closer look. Firstly, on the educational side, the people who I've described as the plant floor, mechanics and electricians and people operating equipment, they do need certain knowledge both to do their job properly and in this program that we are seeking to implement to improve reliability. They certainly need additional skills so that they can do their job properly. But they really need the buy-in. They really need to understand why we want to improve reliability so that they see the benefits and they want to participate and contribute. And as part of this education process, you are involving those people in the program, and as I will discuss later on, that involvement is very important. And that's why my second major point is that we involve people in this reliability improvement initiative. If those people are involved in the process, they are far more likely to change their practices. And those mechanical, electrical people and the operators can make a valuable contribution, and I'll speak more about that in just a moment. We need to trust them. We need to show them that we trust them. We need to give them some responsibility so that they can make the changes necessary so that we have a more reliable plant. By trusting them, it sends a very good message and you will receive a far greater contribution. That's always one of the keys to having people do anything, to trust them and give them responsibility, empower them if you like, so that these changes take place. And finally, we need to encourage them. We need to show them the results of the change so that they can see that whatever changes they're making have made a valuable contribution both to the company and to their own well-being, you might say. And as part of that, we need to reward the contributions that they make. So that's, I guess, the keys to it. Now I'm going to sort of defend, I guess, why I say those elements are important and more. So let's get started. I think it's worth starting with just a few observations. Let's have a look at what the greatest challenges are in improving reliability. If you've been to any conference, you'll hear a lot of discussion about the technological challenges, maybe to do with the condition monitoring techniques, maybe to do with the precision skills that are required, maybe in the understanding of failure and why, for example, a bolt failed or something like that. And there's other technical areas. And yes, there are challenges associated with understanding those technologies and mastering those technologies and implementing those technologies. But I don't believe that's the biggest challenge or the most important challenge. Then there's the challenge of executing programs like RCM and implementing failure modes effects analysis, implementing root cause failure analysis, and understanding reliability and mean time between failure and all those sorts of things. Yes, There are certainly challenges in those areas. Yes, lots of programs failed because people have tried to implement classical RCM and not been successful. So yes, this is a reason why programs can fail. But again, I would say it's not the most important issue. And some people will say, oh, well, the budget's the biggest one. I can't get the budget that I need to make the changes. And yes, it again is a challenge. But there is an awful lot that can be achieved without spending substantial amounts of money. In fact, in many areas without really spending any money. And I would also argue that the challenges associated with getting that money are less than what I consider the real challenge is, and that is with the people in your organization, the people at the senior management level, the people in maintenance, reliability, production, maintenance planners, and all of those sorts of people, and the people who, as I've described, are at the plant floor. It is essential that you have people on board with this program at all levels. Now, this particular presentation is associated with people at the plant floor. It is equally important to get everyone else involved with this program, to get their support, to get everyone believing in reliability improvement, everyone understanding how they benefit, and so that the reliability improvement program will succeed. A lot of people ignore this area though. They say, well, we've got to get the budget, we need to get some technology involved with the instrumentation, the condition monitoring and those other areas that I mentioned, and we need to deal with RCM and root cause failure analysis. And yes, all those elements are part of the reliability improvement program, but so many people forget this part. They figure, well, we'll just throw some money at it, we'll throw some tools at it, we'll make little changes here and there, and the people will naturally fall into place. The people will just, they will change, and if they don't, it doesn't matter, because we will patch the problem by throwing some technology and procedures at it. And that just is not the case. That just simply is not the case. You will have some success if you take that approach, but when you look at the change management aspects, that's where you'll have the success. And if you're successful doing that, then your program will be successful. So let's also learn from the processes that were used to improve safety. If you think about how the maintenance, or how industrial facilities and production plants and so on have changed over the last 10 to 15 years or whatever it's been, probably a lot longer actually, how safety has become so much more important, gets so much more focus, how every single person within an organization, everybody understands the importance of safety. Everyone receives training. They didn't all receive that training 15 years ago as a sort of a one-day seminar and that was it. It wasn't a once-off thing. It's constant focus from the people at the lowest level of an organization, if I can put it that way, to the highest level. There are signs on doors, there are signs when you enter the plant. There's no doubt about what it took to change safety. Well, changing reliability is a similar challenge. If we want to do it successfully, if we want a sustainable reliability improvement initiative, and I call it a reliability improvement initiative, we can call it that at the beginning. It is a project, if you like, to improve reliability, but it's not like we're trying to it's not some short-term project where you're just going to do something and then the problem is fixed. This has to become part of the culture of the organization, just like improving safety has become. So we need to follow the successful techniques that we use to improve safety and use those same techniques to improve reliability. And apart from anything else, the fact is that a reliable plant is a safe plant. By improving reliability, we will improve safety. So not only can we learn from how safety was improved, we can also if you like, piggyback on the back of that need for improved safety by improving reliability. So, another observation. Who is it in your organization that knows most about the root causes of the reliability problems we're trying to eliminate? Is it the engineer with a degree in reliability or reliability engineering and so on? Is it that senior manager? Is it the maintenance manager? And sure, a maintenance manager is going to know a lot about what has been problems in the plant in the past. Is it the condition monitoring technician who goes out there and performs those tests and has to diagnose what's wrong? No, I would argue, and it's a well-supported argument, that the mechanics, electricians and operators, i.e. the plant floor or shop floor people who spend all their time with the equipment, know most about the root causes of failure. They experience them every day. They see the cause and effect. They see it, they recognize what the problems are, but they're rarely engaged in the process of improving reliability. People rarely ask them for their opinions, for their suggestions, or for their help improving reliability. Instead, they have probably even attempted to make those suggestions themselves and often just been ignored. And they say, well, forget it. This is just the way we've done it for years. This must be acceptable. The plant door is still open. It's still an operating organization, so we'll just keep doing it that way. So, keys to success. Every plant that I have seen that you could call a reliable plant, and no plant is perfect, but every organization that I've seen successfully implement their program has a culture of reliability, has an engaged workforce that believes in reliability. They have received constant training. They have been involved in the reliability improvement process. They have been given responsibility. They have been shown respect for what they know and the skills they have and the contribution they make. Respect is a very important part of all of this. But I can tell you that I've seen lots of organizations buy vibration equipment and do root cause failure analysis and try all kinds of things to improve reliability and really struggle, and it's almost like a roller coaster. There's improvements made and then it falls away. Maybe because the champion leaves, maybe there's all sorts of reasons why, but the reliability will improve for a little while, then fall away. It'll improve for a little while and fall away. The only way to sustain that effort, to sustain the gains made, is to create the culture of reliability, and that's what this presentation is about. Let's have a look at why we have the problem that we do. What messages do we send people on the so-called plant floor? What is their attitude now? Well, let's face it, mostly they are rewarded for poor reliability. Take the maintenance person in particular. What happens when there's a failure? Are they called in and perhaps earning overtime pay? Are they rewarded because they are the only people who know how to get a particular type of machine up and running again? Do we pat them on the back and say, good on you for getting the machine going again, for coming in at 3 a.m. or, at 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon? Thanks for coming in. Where would we be without you, Joe or Sally? Where would we be if it wasn't for you coming in and fixing this machine? Well, what message does that send to that person? They feel good. They have a bit of extra money in their pocket potentially. They're being emotionally rewarded for their efforts. Now, it's not to say that in the future, when someone goes above and beyond and does something to get a machine running again, that we shouldn't reward them and pat them on the back. However, we need to work so that that is a rare event, and we need to always recognize that, okay, good on you, Joe or Sally, for doing that work, but you know what? We have failed. We have failed because that work shouldn't have been necessary. We should be working proactively so that that's not necessary. And people, Joe and Sally and everyone else, needs to see that overtime work, that call out, as a bad thing. They want to see that reliability is a good thing. And because of everything that I've just said, clearly reliability isn't important to them for the most part. Question is, does anyone ask their opinion? Well, no, generally not. Are they given the tools and the time and the training to do their job properly? Or is the emphasis always on trying to get a machine up and running as quickly as possible? With the training they might have received many, many years ago, they think they're doing the job properly, but bad habits have come in one way or the other, and the job often is not being done properly. I don't think it's carelessness, it's not deliberate, it's just that, well, this is just the way we've always done things. It's not the best way. They haven't been told the best, or what the best way is. They haven't been given the best tools to do that job, and there's always pressure on them to do it as quickly as possible, which usually means it can't be done properly. So what message does that send? What do they think about reliability and the need to improve reliability? It's hardly on their radar because of all the things that I've mentioned. So culture change is the key to successful reliability improvement. We want to create a situation where people can take pride in their work. They can look at any job, they know it's going to be planned properly, scheduled properly, they'll have the right parts, the machine will be available when they go to do the work, they'll have the right tools, the time to do it, and they will have been properly trained to do it. They can get the job done correctly the first time. That should always be the goal. People often say, but we don't have time. We don't have time. But why is it we have time to do the fix-up, the repair later on when it fails again? Why do we have time to deal with that and all the other breakdowns, but we just don't have time to do it right the first time? Of course we have time to do it right the first time. We just have to give that priority. Think about the safety situation again. Once upon a time, if the plant was down, or some part of the plant was down or whatever, and we needed some work to be done that potentially wasn't safe, maybe once upon a time we would have said, sorry Joe, you need to crawl into that tank, just hold your breath and do that work. It may not be safe, but boy, the line's down, we've just got to do it. We can't wait to get the right equipment, safety equipment, to do that job properly. Shortcuts might have been taken once, but no, now you would never start a plant, you'd never do any work if it was unsafe to do so. Well, the same sort of attitude needs to be taken to reliability. There's always a temptation to cut corners and just get things going, and the feeling is that by doing so you are somehow saving the company money. No, you're not. Short term, maybe. Long term, absolutely not. And they won't feel threatened. They won't feel that their jobs are at risk because we're trying to eliminate all of that reactive work. The idea of improving reliability is not to get to a point where we can let go maintenance workers and electricians and so on. The idea is that we're going to replace the reactive work with proactive work. We will reduce costs, but not by reducing the labour force. That is for sure, and it's important that people understand that. So, what is the attitude of senior management right now? Do they appreciate the value and importance of improving reliability? Have they made reliability a priority? Have they provided the required funding? Well, if not, what message does that send? We're going to struggle to improve reliability if all we do is focus, for example, just on the plant floor, or focus on the technology and so on. If the message from above is not a message that we need to improve reliability, then no one will really buy into it. The message needs to come from the top, and that's the leadership part of all of this. So we need senior management to say reliability is critical to the success of this organization, or a message with the same theme, of course. Everyone must be adequately trained and equipped to do the job properly. Let's actually have a look at change management. If we want people to change their practices that are leading to poor reliability. And remember, even though this presentation is talking about the plant floor, they are not solely responsible for the reliability issues. We're just talking about how to get the plant floor on side. If we want to have change occur, people must aspire to the vision presented to them. So you need to be able to put a vision to those people. You need to be able to say, well, this is what we are hoping to achieve at this organization. We are going to have fewer breakdowns, which will lead to higher levels of production, better safety, and so on. And I'll talk about the benefits in just a moment. So if you want people to change, they have to aspire to the vision presented to them, but they must be dissatisfied with the current state. So they've got to see that what's happening right now is not acceptable. It's not the way it should be. And people must be rewarded for the change. That doesn't mean you're going to pay them all a bonus if you achieve certain goals and so on. What that means is they need to understand what those benefits are, and they need to see, both emotionally and through job security and everything else, pride in their work and so on, that they will receive those rewards if they change in the desired way. And they need to be appreciated for the changes made. Now that overlaps a little bit with the reward, but if they feel like, okay, I am changing and my co-workers and management appreciate those changes, then people are more likely to change. And they need to be actively involved in the process. If you want to make changes in an organization, but you say, well, this is what we want to do, but hey, we're going to do these things and therefore the change will take place, people are less likely to change. If you want people to change, you've got to say, well, this is what you need to do. This is what we need from you. We want your suggestions, we want your ideas, we want your contribution, but these are the activities that you're going to change, whether it's the way machines are operated or the maintenance work that's being done, the cleaning, the lubricating, or whatever, since we're focusing on the plant floor. So let's just quickly talk about a few of the things that we shouldn't do when we're trying to get this change to occur. Number one, we shouldn't think that we can force people to change. People aren't robots. We can't just reprogram them and say, this is what you must do and that's final. It just doesn't work that way. People will change if they want to change, particularly if they feel it is their idea and in their best interests, and if they participate in the process as I just described. You can't be non-inclusive, or another way to put it is you should be inclusive. Don't form a group and exclude everyone else. And this is a very common way people go about doing things. So they say, we want to improve reliability, so we're going to put together a little team, maybe of just engineers and certain people, and say, well, we are going to analyze all the root causes. We might go through an RCM study. So this team is given all the responsibility. They lock themselves in a room. They come up with all the solution to the problem, and then they start telling other people, therefore, how change should be made. Well, that just alienates everyone. The people who aren't in the team, let's just say. You're showing them no respect. You're sort of saying, don't worry about it, we'll take care of this. It's all up to us. We don't need your opinion. We don't need your involvement. We're going to decide everything and then tell you what to do. It just doesn't work. And be careful about taking the program of the month approach. TPM, Six Sigma, Lean, all the rest of them. It's not to say there's anything wrong with the strategy that's behind those processes, but when it's launched in such a way, unless you work in a very unusual environment, you've probably been through these sorts of things a number of times. And the next time management come down and say, we are now going to do this, people go, roll their eyes and say, oh, here we go again. We're going to get a bunch of new posters. We're going to go through just maybe a little bit of training or something. We might even get a nice coffee mug with a logo on it. And it'll last for just a little while, and people will get bored with the idea and it'll go away. And then the next initiative will come along. We can't take that approach. Improving reliability makes sense. It is common sense. There is nothing flash about it. We don't have to give it a special name or anything else. It is common sense. We just have to say, right, from now on we're going to do things differently. Now, how you roll it out, of course, that's a whole other discussion. But I would say this is not the way to roll it out. Okay, so we need to sell it on its benefits. People need to understand all the benefits, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But, we are going to improve safety. We're going to improve quality depending on your particular industry. We're going to increase uptime, and we're going to reduce costs, and they're all good things. And it's important to be consistent. It's no point saying, reliability is important, and then turn around, but we need to get the line up quickly. It's got to happen now, so just cut the corners like normal. We're just going to get that bearing slammed into place, so that we can get this machine up and running. We're just going to use straight edge alignment because we can't take the time to properly laser align it or whatever. You've got to say, this is the way we're going to do all things, and you've got to do it and lead by example. So, I've mentioned a couple of times, people need to understand the benefits, particularly the benefits in terms of someone working on the plant floor. Number one is we want fewer 2 a.m. call-outs, a better family life. And this is important. And yes, by doing that, we're going to take away some of the overtime pay. If you handle this process properly, that won't be such an issue. You may think it's going to be an issue, but in all the organizations where they've had success, it turns out it's not a big issue because this is important. It is important to be there for your child's soccer match, baseball game, to be able to go away on holidays, to not have, holidays, Christmas or whatever, interrupted, be dragged out at 2 a.m. in the morning, these sorts of things. It is important to have stability and control over your life. It is also important to have greater job satisfaction, to know that you can go to your place of work, operate the machines and have them continue to operate and not be thinking, okay, this might fail at any minute. I'm going to have to go through all the hassle of getting the line up and running again. People can take pride in the work because they've got the right training and tools and time to do the job properly. They will have greater skills because they would have received that training, and therefore as part of all of that they will have less pressure on them. They will feel, I can do the job, no one's looking over my shoulder saying, are you done yet, all important things. There will be increased profitability of the organization. Now, of course, depending on your particular organization, there will be different benefits, whether you're a sewage plant or you're mining iron ore or producing a food product or something like that. But this can lead to increased revenue and reduced costs. Now, some people, may not be so concerned about the profitability of the organization, but I'll get to why they should be in just a second. Reliability itself is important. If you need equipment to perform an important role. Safety affects everyone, and you need to draw the connection between reliability and safety. It is a very easy connection to make, and basically, on the one hand, when a machine fails, there's lots of opportunity for harm to come to a person as a result. But the other thing is that it is far more dangerous to work on a machine than not work on that machine, if you can put it that way. The more time spent performing that maintenance work, installing bearings, doing the alignment, or whatever it is, that is when accidents happen. So if we can reduce that work, I didn't say we're going to reduce all work, there's still proactive work to do, but it is safer. So we can improve safety as a result, and that helps everyone, and greater viability. Now again, you need to look at your particular situation, whether there is any risk of plant closure because there is a lack of profitability, costs are too high, too much downtime, not enough production, and so on. But again, you have to handle a topic like this very carefully and be very sensitive. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of organizations that are at risk because of competitors producing a product at a lower cost. So viability is important. And we need to communicate those benefits, sell those benefits, and continue to do that. We need to keep the benefits in everyone's face and continue to show how the changes being made are realizing those benefits and making those benefits real. And one way to do that is by creating metrics or KPIs that indicate that change is occurring and that improvements are being made. Now, how you exactly do that, I guess, is a very large topic. We could talk about it in quite some detail. One opportunity is to use OEE. Now, for most people, OEE is very abstract. They never even give it any thought. It's the combination of the amount of downtime, the quality of the product, and the throughput. So you could have the machines running more frequently but at a lower rate, producing less product. We could have machines running at a higher rate with less downtime but the quality is poor. No, we want to have all of those at their peak, and therefore for the same operating time of the plant, we will have more product that we can actually sell. But if that isn't the right OEE for your organization or for your people, there are ways to, there are other KPIs that we can use that will relate far more directly. People need to be able to see that the changes they make will have a direct effect on those KPIs. Most organizations will have this at the front gate. They will see how many injuries there have been and how many lost days due to those injuries there have been. And obviously everyone has a direct connection to that and they understand the importance of having those lower numbers. Well, we need to have reliability in their face as well. As I've said, reliability improves safety, but people need to see on an ongoing basis that their work, the changes they've made are important and we're making progress. And along those lines, we need to provide education so that they can see a line of sight, if you like, between the actions they take and the benefits or the changes that we want. We want improved reliability, but they need to see that what they do actually will result in improved reliability and those benefits. So they need to understand why we perform condition monitoring, why someone walks around with a vibration analyzer or an infrared camera as I'm showing here. They don't need to be able to operate the equipment. They don't need to understand all the technical details. What we want to do is demystify it. So when they see someone using those instruments, they say, fine, I know what they're doing. I don't have to feel threatened. I know why they're doing it. I know why it's important. And the organization has shown me enough respect to actually explain it. Demystify it, say, yep, this is why we do it, and this is why condition monitoring is important. They should understand why contamination is such a problem. What happens when tiny particles get into the lubricants? What if water gets into the lubricant? And so again, you can tell someone this is how you're going to do your job, or you can tell them, don't wash down the machines in this way. But if they understand why, truly understand, they're far more likely to follow those guidelines and see other places where, for example, contamination might occur. Again, we don't have to make them masters of lubrication and all of that sort of stuff. It's very easy to get these messages across very quickly. Same with misalignment. And again, yes, we will need special training for the people doing the alignment work, but what if everyone understood that misalignment causes the machine to fail? Bearings fail, shafts fail, couplings fail, and so on. Demystifies the issue. It explains why someone is using laser alignment when they see it, and they're more tolerant, if the line is down, or if the plant is down just a little bit longer, while someone is doing precision laser alignment. Again, you don't need to spend a lot of time training, at this plant floor level, except for the people who actually do the job. Likewise, it's no point just saying, oh, clean the machine. Why? Why do we need to do it? Why is it so important? Why will that motor last that much longer if it was clean and therefore able to lose the heat that it needs to, as against having it covered in cement dust in this particular case? Explain to operators why it is important that the machine operates within its correct operating window. Now, this little animation I'm showing here explains, we get recirculation, we get cavitation and all that sort of stuff. We don't have to turn them into mechanical engineers so that they understand what cavitation is and all the rest of it. But they do need to see that when they operate the machine properly, it will last longer. It won't be damaged, it won't therefore fail, and all the other problems that ensue. And just getting that message across, why it's important to do it right the first time rather than just doing it quickly, whatever the job is, and thinking that you're going to take care of it later, which of course never happens. It's just the job gets done quickly and then you move on to the next job that has to be done quickly and the next job that has to be done quickly. No, we're going to do it properly so that we have fewer failures and thus we have to react less frequently. And again, I've mentioned it already, we need to relate reliability to safety and just have people understand exactly why that is. And why reliability affects quality. Now again, that's going to depend on the industry, on your industry, but there's certainly a connection between those two. And in each case, in addition to demystifying the topic, explaining why those changes lead to improved reliability, we want to explain how they can participate and how they can contribute. In some cases, it might be, for example, this person is coming along to take vibration readings, but if you know something about that machine, that it's not operating in a normal way right now, and that might affect the vibration readings, or you heard it make a strange sound yesterday, or whatever. There are a lot of observations that a person on the plant floor would make that the vibration analyst would like to know, and there's lots of examples in ways that people can contribute beyond just the fact that the work they directly do needs to change to improve reliability as well. So let's just elaborate a little bit on what the education is that is required in order to create this reliability culture. And I'll break it into two parts. The first part is creating the awareness. The awareness education basically needs to cover everything that we've discussed so far. We need to clarify for people what the problem is right now so that they clearly see that the current state is not acceptable and that change must occur. So we're going to clarify what the problem is. We're going to clearly explain the benefits. We're going to demystify the steps to become reliable, and we're going to explain how they're going to contribute. And I'll talk in a minute about how that can be done, but there's no doubt that people need that awareness training. Now, they need it at the plant floor. They need it throughout the organization. Now, let me make that really clear. They need that awareness training throughout the organization. So whether people are in admin or procurement or the design group or whatever it is, everyone needs to understand these things that you can see right here. But then certain people will need skills in order to do their job properly. So if they're the person doing the shaft alignment, they need to understand how to perform precision shaft alignment. They need to understand precision operation of their machine, precision lubrication, precision fastening. Now let's just step back just for a second and think about any one of these. You can tell a person this is how you have to grease a bearing. These are all the steps you should take. You wipe off the grease from the dirt and grime from the nipple, you put it on, blah blah blah. This is how you do it. And you can say that I really want you to do it that way. But wouldn't it be better if they really understood A, why if they don't do it that way it will cause contamination, and B, what that contamination will do to the machine, and C, why we don't want the machine to fail prematurely. If you have that line of sight, and therefore you have that awareness training, then it's not just a case of being told how to do something properly, which is important, that skills training is important. You know why. And if you know what the benefits are, then you will follow those guidelines. You will do the job properly because you want to do the job properly. And so again, whether it's operation, alignment, lubrication, fastening, or whatever the job is, they need the training to do the job properly. Don't make the assumption that they already know how, but they need to know why. And so how do you go about doing it? Well, there's a number of ways. You can just hold your own in-house seminars, and you can put some slides together, you can explain these things, you can take them out into the plant and do little demonstrations or whatever makes sense in your case. Now that means you have to create this material yourself, but that is something you can do. You don't have to go out and spend a whole lot of money, but of course if you're doing it, it is in essence costing money. You can invite guest speakers to come in, or training organizations to come in and give seminars and that sort of thing, training courses, seminars, and so on. And that can play a very important role. If you get the right speaker to come into your organization, maybe senior management might listen, and other people through the organization or throughout the organization, and it has benefits for sure. E-learning is also a very good way to deliver this sort of training. I'm sure you're using it right now. You might have induction training. People sit at the computer, learn about the sirens and safety procedures and so on. Well, e-learning can be used in a great many areas to get this training across. Now, I shouldn't say too much. We try not to be too commercial or commercial at all in these sorts of seminars, these presentations, but we offer e-learning in all these areas. But there are other sources of e-learning. You can even go onto our website, and we've got free presentations like this one, and you can use those in your own in-house seminars. The nice thing about e-learning is it's a consistent way of delivering information. So whether you're delivering it today or next year for new employees, whatever, it's a consistent message, hopefully developed in a professional way, hopefully in an entertaining way and a very revealing way, by people who specialize in that sort of work. But one of the keys is right here, that it needs to be targeted at the appropriate level. If you wanted to explain vibration analysis or lubrication or any one of these things that I've mentioned to someone, and you looked across the spectrum of people in your organization, would you want to give the same training to every single person? No. Different people need to be told this information at different levels of detail and presented in a different way. If I was the person coming to your site and you wanted me personally to provide this education through some sort of lunch and learn seminars or training courses or whatever, well, I would be tailoring that training to the audience. What I said to senior management would be different to what I'd say to reliability engineers and maintenance planners versus supervisors versus people on the plant floor versus the people who actually need to use these skills to do the alignment and other activities. So whatever training you do, it's not one size fits all, and that is for sure. And it is very important that you don't see the training as a once-off effort. This is something I see so frequently, that someone goes to all the effort to create some training within the organization, or they bring in an outside training company or whatever it is, and they do some training and think, right, tick the box, done, we've had some training. It's not enough. It's not enough. Most people can't absorb a message in just one sitting, no matter what that message is. People do need to hear these sorts of messages again and again. New staff need to hear that message. People who were not available during a training seminar still need the opportunity to see that training seminar. That's one good thing about e-learning. You can do it any number of times. It doesn't matter. once is not enough. Imagine safety training. Imagine if you just said, okay, on this one day we're going to teach you about safety, and there was no other training ever. Well, clearly that wouldn't work, and that's why it doesn't work with reliability as well. So, and I keep talking about the involvement that plant floor people can make towards the reliability improvement initiative. Let's just look at that a little further. Number one, as part of a reliability improvement initiative, there's probably going to be teams formed that are going to focus on particular projects potentially, or just the overall process of improving reliability. Now, I want to elaborate though, this isn't one of these exclusive groups that take on all the responsibility and then try to make these directives afterwards that how people need to change. You can involve people from the plant floor in those teams, and at the least they should have representatives, people who they feel, okay, that person understands what it's like to operate a machine or do maintenance work or whatever, and therefore they know all the challenges and they represent me. You should ask them for suggestions. You should make people feel like you want their suggestions and you will give them feedback. So you ask for a suggestion, you look at it, it may be that it's a great idea, and you do something about it. That changes everything. When you come back and say, hey, great idea, this is what we have now done or what we're in the process of doing. Imagine how that person feels. Imagine how everyone else feels where they see, hey, he made a suggestion, they actually changed something. We've actually seen a change from an idea that we came up with. And then particularly if, you in this case, if you're a manager, give that person credit for the change. You don't try and sort of steal their thunder. You say, hey, this is what Susan suggested, we've made the change, and now this process is easier to perform or whatever. So ask for suggestions. Now, it's not to say that you can follow every suggestion, but if you go back to a person and say, well, look, it was a great idea, but it may be that there were reasons that they didn't appreciate. Well, if we followed your suggestion, that's going to make life more difficult for these other people. Or, hey, it's a great idea, we've got lots of great ideas, but we just don't have the budget to do them all, so we're going to do these other things and then we'll get to yours later. Give them feedback of what's going on. Operator-driven reliability is a very important way for people on the plant floor to get involved, particularly operators. You appreciate that there are a lot of tasks involved in reliability improvement. On the one hand, it's performing inspections, taking condition monitoring readings and so on, so that we understand the condition of equipment. And on the other hand, there are actual maintenance tasks like cleaning, greasing, and lots of maintenance tasks. Well, a lot of those inspections and condition monitoring tests and a lot of those maintenance tasks can be performed by people who haven't received high levels of training. The tasks that do need the training are performed by the people who are performing them now. The tasks that don't can be performed by operators. They spend their time with the equipment, so why don't they make those observations, perform those non-intrusive inspections, perform some simple condition monitoring measurements, perform some tasks like cleaning and maybe lubricating, other simple maintenance tasks which free up maintenance staff to perform the tasks that need their particular skills. And again, always remembering that those proactive tasks will replace the reactive tasks that most people are being caught up in right now. And the whole emphasis on precision maintenance and operation. So, in conclusion, engaging the plant floor is key to success. Absolutely. I hope you're convinced of it. I guarantee you it's the case. But in order to engage the plant floor, we need to provide them that education. They need to be involved in the process. You need to empower them. You need to give them responsibilities to make these changes and let them go and do it. And you need to provide that encouragement, the feedback that the suggestion they gave is very good, that the changes they've made have made a difference. They need that encouragement so they feel good about the changes that they've made. So thank you very much for viewing this presentation. I do hope that it has helped you. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, I think this is an extremely important topic. Too few people focus on these issues, or when they focus on it, they really struggle to make these changes successfully, and they do not successfully engage the plant floor. I hope this presentation will help you successfully engage the plant floor in the future.